The southwest of Hanoi, strangely enough, is one of the least documented parts of Vietnam when it comes to motorbiking. It had been on my to-do list for years now, as I know there is great stuff out there, but no one talks about it. In this video, I'm going to cover the following topics. What is the southwest of Hanoi? Who is the southwest of Hanoi for? Who is the southwest of Hanoi not for? When to go to the southwest of Hanoi? Whether you should go to Ninh or not, my recommended route in general, what is the right bike for the southwest of Hanoi, Vietnamese tourism in the area and its impact, and finally, my highlights of the area. So what is the southwest of Hanoi? The southwest of Hanoi, in my definition, consists of Ninh, Mai Chau, Phu Luong, and Moc Chau districts. As I discovered on this trip, the area contains many beautiful waterfalls, as well as other activities such as hot springs, hiking, silly glass bridges, and literally thousands of homestays. The best way to describe this area is like a theme park. There are so many small activities to do in the area that you literally activity hop your way around for different sites. There is a lot of driving to do as well, but no real commitments needed because there are just so many homestays and accommodation in general. The only thing for a tourist that's been lacking is that theme park style map to show you where all these activities are. Well, I'm attempting to tackle that. Who is the southwest of Hanoi for? As I said, there is almost no content of this area on the internet. I did this trip with literally no idea what to expect, so my judgments here are fresh, new, and entirely my own. Very exciting discoveries for me as well. This area is perfect for the following kinds of people. Number 1, the person who doesn't have enough time for Ha Giang or more. Ha Giang takes at least 5 days, and 5 days is a rush at that. It's not easy to get to Ha Giang either. This area, however, can be done in 3 to 5 days. No rush and no commitments. Despite how remote the journey can get, in real life, you are never further than a 4-hour drive from Hanoi. That is crazy cool. Number 2, the romantic couple on a honeymoon. Okay, so you don't need to be on a honeymoon, but you get the idea. You can homestay hop or go to hotels, whatever you like. The point is, there are so many waterfalls, hot springs, and other activities that you can spend your time doing together. This area doesn't have to be about the motorbike and covering thousands of kilometers in a short space of time. In fact, I would argue that this is one of the few areas of Vietnam where you can activity hop without big kilometer commitments. Not to mention the fact that the entire region is so close to Hanoi. No time commitments to get there or to get back either is really cool. Number 3. Finally, the person who wants to get off a tourist trail with as little effort as possible. Usually escaping tourism is a battle, but here you can find yourself in areas where the locals have basically never seen a foreigner. Strange considering how close to Hanoi it is. Bam, 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 bam. You can jump between very remote villages and then major tourist attractions, at least in terms of the Vietnamese market. This is all down to pretty impressive new highways that connect Hanoi to this region, meaning there are quick ways to get around and then country lanes to dart off into the countryside. Who is the southwest of Hanoi not for? So far, in this video, I've described what I would consider a beginner-friendly region for tourists wanting to motorbike around. However, this is not actually the case. This region is great for a tourist who doesn't want to be ambitious in terms of covering kilometers. And it is great for someone who wants to break a day up between activities and driving. However, this does not necessarily make it beginner-friendly. In reality, this region is very mountainous, very beautiful, and very remote. This means that the highways to get to this region are busy, and the country lanes are real country lanes. They are not maintained, they are full of potholes, and to make matters worse, they are covered with clay, which is unbelievably slippery. The roads can randomly go from road to off-road with no notice at all. With careful and cautious planning, you can stay to roads that are reasonably well maintained, but a small lapse of map planning can lead you to uncomfortable off-road if you are not prepared. Off-road is subjective, and as an enduro guy, potholes and a bit of clay don't cause me any problems. But for many, these sorts of roads would be considered hard and challenging off-road and will definitely catch people off guard. Be aware of that. Quick plug, book an off-road lesson in Hanoi. There is so much accidental off-road in the north in general. A quick lesson will be very productive and help with your safety. When to go to the southwest of Hanoi. One of the reasons I was so excited about the discovery of this area is that I wanted to go back to it in rainy season. I was driving in dry season, and guess what? It still rained a bit. Just got slammed by the rain, and I didn't bring any rain gear for some reason. And it turns out the rain at this altitude is quite cold. The waterfalls were amazing, but I can only imagine what they would be like in rainy season. The common email, what do I do if it rains, or will it rain? Well, the answer is gear up properly, then drive to these waterfalls. If the rain lowers your enjoyment of the motorbiking, it will definitely increase your enjoyment of these waterfalls. It appears to be a secret, but I tell everyone, sure, rain is annoying, but Vietnam as a country gets a lot prettier when it rains. The greens go very green, and the country just pops with color. I am from England, I'm used to the rain, but I am so often confused by the fear that clients of Tigit appear to have when it comes to rain. Anyway, the sheer quantity of homestays and hotels in this area, combined with the short distances between waterfalls, makes this the perfect region for enjoying the rain. The rain is the right time to go here. We have an article which tries to explain the seasons in Vietnam, so read that for accurate answers. To go to Ninh Binh or to not go to Ninh Binh. So I can see the attraction of Ninh Binh now. It's just so chill. I could sit here all day. Comfortable chairs. Ninh Binh is a very difficult topic because the drive to get to Ninh Binh from Hanoi is so bad. It is only around 3 hours of driving, but it is some of the worst in the entire country. The way I look at it is like this. Ninh Binh is worth going to if you are going to stay in Ninh Binh and do some activities in Ninh Binh. It is not a good idea to just pass through Ninh Binh like what we did. Hanoi as a city has a very clear best way in and out of the city, which at the time of this video is the CT03. It just so happens to go directly to the southwest of Hanoi. It is a seriously good road to escape or enter such a massive city. By going to Ninh Binh, you are throwing away the use of the CT03 road and instead hitting a very nasty QL1A instead. This is not a good trade. I would probably suggest you do this loop anti-clockwise, leaving Ninh Binh to be an optional extra at the end. Start with Mai Chau or Phu Luong and circle round this way, ending with Ninh Binh if you want to. This also coincides with splashing out on a fancy hotel in Ninh Binh for your final days in Vietnam. My recommended route. Asking for a recommended route for this region is a bit like asking for a recommended route around a theme park. I can do it, but it's not the way you should travel here. I have a map and a blog article where I've labeled the areas and the waterfalls and also attempted to mark the off-road sections. Loosely follow my route and go here with an open mind to explore yourself. Just remember, you are never far from Hanoi, so you don't need to worry about timing. My key tip is to actually read the descriptions in the markers that I provided on the map. Here is a route, however, but I don't recommend it as I was on a business trip aimed at covering as much tarmac as possible and seeing as many sites as possible. But here it is anyway. Day 1, we did Hanoi through Ninh Binh to finish in Mai Chau. Day 2, Mai Chau through Phu Luong, saw a couple of waterfalls and back through Phu Luong to Mai Chau again. Day 3, Mai Chau to Moc Chau to finish in Phu Yen. And day 4, Phu Yen back to Hanoi. What is the right bike for the southwest of Hanoi? It is almost a strange question, but this question was at the front of my mind on this trip, and it really hit me hard this time. I was on a Honda CB500X and Yang, the ticket guide, was on the Honda XR150. The more I drive motorbikes, the more I realize that the motorbike must fit the driving style of the terrain. The CB500X excels at open, meandering, hilly roads, not hairpin mountain roads or country lanes. In fact, the roads I enjoyed the most on this trip were the main highways, as I can open the throttle and carve the big bike round the hilly corners, overtaking traffic. This is fun. The quality of the tarmac and traction is very important on a big motorbike. Clay is brutal on ADV bikes. I did not enjoy the small country lanes, smashed up with potholes and clay. ABS does not work off-road. The CB500X is heavy, and the constant turning of lefts and rights gets very tiring over a day. In reality, for most of this journey, I hardly left gear 2. Not to mention, every time we hit off-road, I was in serious trouble. And you can see I was not geared up for this kind of driving, and that is because I take the concept of not off-roading very seriously when I'm on the CB500X. But this trip had me stuck a couple of times.
You want me to do that? Because I have my boots.
Probably a good idea. There is no doubt in my mind I would have had a lot more fun on the Honda Blade semi-automatic. I love hammering and revving small engines. It is a lot of fun. They can go on any terrain as well, in a fun and non-serious way too. Finally, when you hit that moment of pure spectacular beauty, you are on the right bike at the right speed to take it all in. I will never forget my Northwest trip on Honda Blades with my friend Lewis and his girlfriend. The video is linked above, and you can see how much fun you can have on a small bike. Yang, as always, is very comfortable on the Honda XR150 in all terrain, and this motorbike type is a mighty fine choice as well. If you have 2 people on one motorbike, I highly recommend the Honda XR150 over the CB500X when it comes to this region of Vietnam. You probably won't understand why, but just trust me. Finally, if you do rent an adventure bike for this part of Vietnam, you must have some skill behind the wheel. And if you have 2 people on the bike, drive very, very slowly. Problem with these adventure bikes, if you drop the bike on your leg, you break your leg. Even with boots on, your percent chance of breaking your leg is high. This is guaranteed. If you do these bikes, you must make sure you're on a road journey or properly equipped. Vietnamese tourism, public holidays, and weekends. Just because this region is unknown on the Western market does not mean it is unknown on the Vietnamese market. These attractions and waterfalls are set up waiting for mass Vietnamese tourism. Karaoke, beer drinking, and extremely loud behavior. We've been driving down a countryside road for a long time and just got to this huge touristy waterfall. Karaoke and all. That's what scares me. Lots of drunk people around. Always friendly, but I don't want to talk to people. But we're biting a bullet and going in. Let's see what happens. I'm not saying what is right and what is wrong, but Vietnamese tend to travel in a very different way to a foreigner. I was here on weekdays and it was fantastic, but I am pretty sure this region will be slammed with drunk karaoke pop stars at weekends. I am a big fan of karaoke places on waterfalls and rickety bridges. To get the authentic feel of the place, I think it is very important to avoid weekends and to not travel here at all if it is a Vietnamese public holiday. Finally, my highlight of the trip. The entire drive was a highlight. I didn't expect it to be this good. There were even some roads that Yang referred to as looking just like Ha Giang. Not bad for somewhere so close to Hanoi. Phu Long as a place always amazes me. I would love to spend a week there, properly discovering it. The area is much bigger than I'd realized as well. In actual fact, I have now split Phu Long into Phu Long A and Phu Long B, which I might implement into future articles and content. It isn't really a singular place like I first thought. However, the star of the show for me was Tak Nang Tien Waterfall. Funny really, because my original mapping and research had missed it. The heavens opened and it rained hard, and Yang and myself got split up. I stopped at the side of a road and started looking at Google Maps. I saw this waterfall nearby, and when we found each other again, we went to it. It just happened to be my favorite waterfall of the trip. Overall, this area was impressive. I had a feeling it would be. And I highly recommend it for the people who just don't have the time or the energy even to get to Ha Giang. There is so much else you can do with Vietnam with all the logistics drama of having to go to such a remote region. This place is well connected to Hanoi and extremely remote as well. That is very cool.